Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast. Today we're going to be discussing 3 technologies that I believe everyone going into accounting should learn. And these 3 technologies are Ultrix, Tableau, and UIPath. And a lot of the accounting firms use these 3 softwares. I'm going to talk a little bit about each technology and why I think you should learn it. First, I wanted to discuss why you need to learn these technologies. It used to be when you went to work for an accounting firm, all you really need to know was Excel. I remember when I was in college, there was, you had all your typical business school classes, accounting, management accounting, tax, whatever. And you had some business classes too, right? Like economics. But there wasn't really an Excel or technology class when I was in school. Now, I'm sure that a lot of the accounting schools and business schools nowadays have more technology since it's kind of mandatory, because technology is doing a lot of things that people that used to get MBAs would do. But I'm sure it's still not that good, because if they weren't teaching Excel when I was in school, and Excel was extremely essential for accounting, it's the only thing you work in, then I doubt they're really keeping up with the times now, and they're probably definitely not getting into it as heavily as they should. So first up, let's talk about Ultrix. Now, what is Ultrix? Ultrix is basically an automation software that it works in a workflow pattern. You build these little workflows, and you're typically working with Excel, but you can do a lot of different things in there. And that's another thing to know about each one of these softwares. They're not accounting softwares. They're basically technologies for working with data. And that's really how they're perfected, is people that work with a lot of data. So you got to think of things like Google and other things, or you're probably using these softwares as well. And with Ultrix, a lot of the things that people are doing with Ultrix and accounting are really cleaning up data. Think of when you come into accounting, a lot of trial balances are not so good. They come in Excel, and they come in different formats. This is true of large conglomerates as well, because a lot of businesses still use Excel, even if they're huge businesses, because they've been around for a long time and they really just haven't transitioned off of Excel. And a lot of the people in high positions in big corporations are still older people, and they're still used to seeing Excel. And at the end of the day, older people and more executive people, they don't care what format the thing is in, as long as it's something they understand. And they understand Excel. You can show them a lot of fancy software, but they're still going to rely on Excel. So a lot of people still haven't changed their ledgers to, web-based softwares and other things. So you still might get a lot of data in Excel. And what Ultrix does is it cleans up the data, and it can even publish it somewhere. It can save it somewhere. If you run a ledger multiple times a day and you need to run a workflow, Ultrix can do it each time. And you need to learn this, because things that used to take forever, like data input and analyzing data, can be done way faster with Ultrix. The only problem is it's hard to get a license as a personal person, but if you're in school, see if your school has a license or can acquire a license. Maybe ask your accounting professor to see if you can get a license so you can just test it out. I'm sure Ultrix would be willing to do some kind of license like that, because it would get people introduced to their software. And if you go to a big four accounting firm, then you'll be that more invested in that software. And another thing is Ultrix is a public company, and they're pretty large. They're several $1 billion of market cap. So this isn't really going anywhere. You need to learn Ultrix. I wouldn't even spend that much time in Excel. You need to learn in Excel, but when you go into the big four accounting firms, you'll learn Excel pretty quick. And if you just need to know the basics in order to learn how to use Ultrix. And the second software I wanted to talk about was UIPath. Now, UIPath is a process automation tool, and it involves more coding than Ultrix does. And what UiPath does is it automates certain tasks, and it can go outside of data. It doesn't need an Excel file or a CSV file. It can click things on your desktop. It can automate processes. And this is important in the Big Four, because the Big Four is so admin heavy. There's so much admin to do when you go into the Big Four. That's where I see the biggest use of UiPath, is automating a lot of the admin, some things with like engagement letters, setting up a client, getting approvals for the client. A lot of these large corporations that use the Big Four have these convoluted processes of getting approvals when people propose on work. And it has to go through all these layers of approval. People have to fill out checklists and templates. And UiPath has the capacity to really automate that. But there's a lot of other tasks as well, like billing, doing your timesheet. A lot of these things can be automated by UiPath. And you have to think of like data input. Like a lot of audit teams have to put a lot of data into Excel files and sample templates, and UiPath can automate that. And it has to go into audit software, and UiPath can complete that process from like beginning to end. If you're really smart with UiPath, you can replace literally so many jobs in accounting. The thing is, there's still not a lot of people that are up to speed on robotics process automation in the Big Four accounting firms. So if you learn UiPath, I would say UiPath has the largest possibility to change your career if you learn it. But there is a lot more coding you have to learn with UiPath than the other ones. You don't have to become a computer programmer, but it's just a little bit more. And same thing here with Ultrix is that you would have to get a license, but you could probably get one through your school, like I said before. And the same thing would go for Tableau. And Tableau is the last software I'm going to talk about today. And Tableau is a visualization software. So if you do data cleanup and process automation with UiPath and Ultrix, you eventually want to be able to visualize the data that you extracted from those two previous processes. And that's what Tableau does. Tableau takes it and puts it into various visualizations. You can use bar charts and line charts. You can have location-based visualizations. And this one is really good because Tableau is good for presenting to executives. And not many people know about Tableau or have that much knowledge of it in the Big Four accounting firms. So this is another area to set yourself apart. And there's like so many possibilities in Tableau. But the other thing you have to learn is like storytelling through data in order to use Tableau to the fullest, because you can't just throw a bar chart with a million different colors on it. You have to figure out the right type of visualization for the data you're presenting. But older executives, in my experience, don't like to look at super detailed numbers. But if you show them a nice pie chart or bar chart or line graph, they'll be so grateful because you've made it more high level and easier for them to review. And this goes for partners as well. They would love this stuff, and it would just show like how much knowledge you have about data and analyzing data. And this is going to be used for presenting financial information. Like on audit teams, you can show the company's earnings year over year. You can show your sample size. In tax, you can show taxable income over the years. And in advisory or consulting, this can be used in any number of ways to present to your client. So those are the three technologies or types of technologies that I think you should be learning. And again, those technologies were Ultrix, UiPath, and Tableau. So whether you're in school or you're actually in an accounting firm right now, these technologies are the way of the future. And if you don't have access to these technologies, maybe there's another similar technology. Look up their competitors and see if you can get access to those as well. Just learning the types of tools like this will set you so far apart than anyone else in the Big Four accounting firms or in your school. And if you go on a Big Four interview, it would be huge if you had this on your resume, that you got some kind of certificate. And even if you don't have a certificate, just automate something and then speak about what you automated to your interviewer, and they'll be stunned. Because if you have any experience in any of these three tools, like significant experience, then they're probably just going to hire you on the spot, because there's not many people that have this knowledge. And the Big Four are building huge courses and huge technology teams to understand each one of these. And, people are learning on the job, and they're not going to be as as technical in these as someone who spends a lot of time beforehand and gets really up to speed on them and has built a couple of process flows. So take some courses, try to get access to these, and get as much knowledge in each one of these tools as possible. So thanks for listening today. It's the Big Four podcast brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. Make sure to check out our website, big4accountingfirms.com, and also make sure to subscribe to this podcast and subscribe to our YouTube. Our channel is Big Four Accounting Firms on YouTube. So just look that up on YouTube, Big Four Accounting Firms, and hit the subscribe button on that. Thanks for listening.